My daughter's 4, and we just watched Human Centipede together. Which,
the Dora the Explorer episode of the cannibalism is my favorite. That's not sexy. My mustaching.
it looks very mustachy. Hey, this is the master mentalist Erik Dobell from Impossibilities.
And I'm Mike Fowler from Fowler's Clay Works.
And this is What's Up Gatlinburg.
What's up?
What's up? Your place to find out, what's up in Gatlinburg.
And the surrounding areas, man.
Yeah, it's a very self-explanatory title
Absolutely.
to this podcast.
I believe what's up would be my anxiety.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, we are here today with Mr. Adams from the U.S. Ghost Tours.
That's correct.
Yes. I know you had a couple different names for the businesses.
Yes.
That's why I said that with a question mark at the end.
So the mother company is U.S. Ghost Adventures.
Mhm.
But if you were to look it up on Google or TripAdvisor, you'd be looking for Gatlinburg Haunts. That's
Okay.
haunted ghost tours and haunted pub crawls.
I was about to say, this is Ghost Tours, not like places to hang out haunts.
Correct.
Yes.
This is a pretty cool idea getting Mr. Adams in here today. Is, you go to a place like Savannah, St. Augustine, there's all these other destination markets that have these kind of tours, and now, we've got it here too.
Yeah,
It's kinda
Gatlinburg's
cool.
got a very spooky history. People
really
don't realize
does.
that.
It
We got a
really
whole
does.
cemetery.
Yes, the White Oak Flats Cemetery.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I'm asked questions like, do you ever experience anything weird on the tour? Yes. Constantly. 2 things consistently.
Yeah.
1, the guests. There's a lot of weird ones. The second one, which I'm also weird. You don't go telling ghost stories around some town if you are also not weird. But that's why I can recognize them. The second one is at the White Oak Flats Cemetery. That sign, as I've been told, is cursed.
The sign is cursed?
The sign is cursed.
What happened to the sign to make it cursed?
Well, I don't know what happened to the sign, but as long as people have been able to take pictures, they've been taking pictures next to that sign, and they have been, some people have reported being, finding cats, phantom cats, in the photo with them, either at their feet, somewhere in the background, or on the sign itself.
Huh.
That makes me think of this Lovecraft book I read about these cats that traveled through portals and went to the moon.
Yeah.
It's probably just that.
It
was a
must
weird
be that.
book.
It has to be that. I'm sure
Sounds like it
Lovecraft
was a weird book,
visited
buddy.
Gatlinburg.
It wasn't supposed to be published. It was one of those books that they released after he passed away, and I remember thinking that's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
It was not a very good story.
Well, I get there's no oxygen on the.
These were
This
magic
is weird.
cats.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
I don't know if you ever strangled a cat, but they can go a long time.
Really?
Eric, I think you're telling too much.
Wow.
But
I kid.
Before I go too deep into it,
Yeah,
I
sure.
want to kind of lay out where I come from
Yeah,
in this
absolutely.
particular avenue. I'm what people call an optimistic skeptic. I want to believe every ghost story that I'm told, but I've just not been given the appropriate evidence to do so.
Yeah.
Not yet. I've experienced plenty of things that I could not explain, but I can also not explain how Bluetooth works. So there's that.
Yeah.
So on these tours, I take kind of the skeptic's approach. I can't explain this is what's happened. And this is what I've been told by other people who I believe know more than me of the subject. So that's how I like to approach these types of things. But you were talking about Gatlinburg and its history, and that it does have actually quite a spooky history. And this goes all the way back to the beginning of the settlement of Gatlinburg, which at the time it was called White Oak Flats.
Right.
But before that, it was inhabited by the Native Americans, which are the Cherokee people, the indigenous people. And the fun fact here is that a lot of people think that the Smoky Mountains gets its name from the smoke that rises off the mountains in the morning. No, that's fog that happens on every mountain. That's not special to us. What is special to us is the indigenous plant species release into the atmosphere a thing called terpenes. Those terpenes interact with the ozone layer, creating a blue mist over the mountains. You see, the indigenous people, they called this Shikanahe, or roughly translated, Land of the Blue Mist. That's where we get the name Smoky Mountains from, is because it's that blue smoke that just covers the mountain. And you can see it better at a distance. But yeah, those indigenous people found this area to be sacred to them. And they did not want this area to be mined for natural resources. So by the 1800s, by the time that first settlement had come here, they had pushed out the Cherokee people. They had pushed them out, displaced them, or killed them. Now, one thing that some people have said is that, oh, they must have left behind curses. No, let's go ahead and dispel that myth immediately, because of the Cherokee people that I've conversed with, and those people who have taken the tour, they have let me know that in the Cherokee culture, they don't have curses, they don't have hexes or any of that crap. They do have bad energy.
Mm-hmm.
And as I understand it, the way it's been explained to me, that bad energy is more like a boost to karma, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
If you have bad intentions or you're a bad actor, maybe that bad energy will cling on to you, and perhaps you will get what you had coming to you maybe sooner than you thought it was going to come. But that's it.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Just kind of speed run the bad karma then.
Yes. Yep.
So what? So are you native to Gatlinburg, or?
I moved out here about a decade ago,
Okay.
and I moved out here because I am a thespian. I'm an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came out here because there's a lot more opportunities for shows than there were back where I came from, which is in Louisville, Kentucky. But I moved out here, and I started working at one of the community marketing agents, and then I quickly moved into shows. I went to Hatfield McCoy. I was a diver. Don't let my chisel physique fool you. I dive when I'm paid for it.
We can all fall in the water.
Right, yep. And I did it with style, dang it. But yeah, that's what I came out here to do. So I got my foot in the door, and then I moved over to the Opry Building, what used to be the Opry Building.
Mm-hmm.
And I was part of the Magic Beyond Belief show with Darren Romeo. And then after that, I was moved over to Pirates. I don't know why. But I was moved over to Pirates, and I was a singing pirate out front for a little bit. I also worked the tech because I was a certified pyrotechnician, and so they were able to have me loading the pyro for the pirate show in Pigeon Forge. And then from there, I think the world shut down for a little bit, and then I was back on the scene.
You don't say. What was that?
Right. Oh, it was a great time. It was a wonderful time. I don't think
Whatever
anybody
happened?
suffered during this. But yeah, after we got back, I was then part of a show in Pigeon Forge, a variety show, and then a magic show that was there as well, and I worked backstage and was also featured in the show. And then, some budget issues came up, and I had to go my separate way. And then I was told about this job and walking the streets and telling stories. And I didn't realize this until I had to move house. But I actually have an entire shelf full of how to tell story books, and then folklore books and whatnot. So this is actually something that the back of my mind was kind of a passion for me. And when they sent me the script, I went through the entire script and looked at all the facts. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the podcast of Mr. Ballin.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Mr. Ballin, he tells strange, dark, and mysterious stories.
Yeah.
And he's really good at it. During the time in which we all just decided to simultaneously stay home, he started to...
Mysteriously.
Yeah, mysteriously. He started to put out like 2 or 3 videos of stories each week.
Yeah.
And then now it's gotten down to, I think, 1 per week, and he put out a book. But he's really good at storytelling. And so I binged that, I listened to that, and I picked up what the formula was. How are you writing these stories? Because I'm listening, I'm like, why are you telling me...
Also, he wrote these stories.
Well, he took the facts, and he rewrote them in such a way in which, so when you look at theater, you have the story, and then you have the plot. The plot is the order in which the story is revealed.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Ballin takes the plot, and he plays with it. And so when I'm listening to the stories, I'm listening like, why are you describing the color of this girl's pants? I don't care. But then later, he describes the pants in the same way, and you're like, no, is it her? Yes, it's her. And then he reveals it, but it allows us to build that anticipation. And so I've done the same thing with a lot of the stories that I was given, as I rewrote a lot of the stories in order to give them the biggest punch as possible, because, I see the world different.
Mm-hmm.
As my sister told me, you see the world differently. I was like, the world, that's kind of that's a big thing. I don't think so. And then somebody told me about the first time that they met me, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I do see the entire world differently. Somebody's asked me, is it possible to converse with the dead? I don't think so. Every time we read an old book. Is it possible to summon spirits or ghosts? In a way, I think it's possible. Every time you listen to the details, to the thread that a storyteller weaves for you. that's when you can summon those ghosts. So my job is not necessarily to walk these people through the town and scare the crap out of them, but rather to introduce them to the stories of what has happened in this area, the tales of what things meant to people who are no longer here.
Deep.
Probably the deepest we've had on here.
Yeah. This is cool.
I didn't bring my own lights for nothing.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of that joke. I thought that's what you were going to say at first, and then you decided to say something profound instead. Or like, is it possible to talk to the dead? And yeah, but they don't talk back.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true.
But no, I agree with you. Yeah, every time you open up a book, you're talking to, the dead. And
I mean,
even if the author's dead.
Well, even if the author is alive, though, you are now talking to a previous version of that person.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I need to publish a book.
Yeah, there you go. There's your next adventure.
Exactly.
So 10 years ago, you got here, you got wrapped up the ghost things. Any interesting events that happened while it's going on? Any good people you've met?
Well, there's been plenty of good people that I've met.
Anything stick out? Like,
well, there's this odd guy that used to be at the Space Needle. I'm playing with you.
That's like,
we share a barber. Yeah. I've met a lot of good people out here. Erik being one of them, and I'm sure you as well, because I just met you today. But yeah, I've met a lot of good people out here. Tim Harkleroad was one of them. He's also a fellow ghostie. He likes the strange, dark, mysterious stories as well. He was the mayor over at Hatfield McCoy, and he was also one of the writers of the original show, the original series of the version of that show. I've also met my mentor out here, and I like to say that meeting my mentor, I met him before I moved out here, and that is what Stockholm Syndrome looks like done correctly. Because I came out here, I met him, and I talked with him after one of the shows, and appreciated the ventriloquism that he was doing, and then I started basically just talking with him, and then I moved out here, and we started working together, and he helps me write sometimes.
Who is this?
His name is Buford, and he actually has one of the tours, and I think he's in Pigeon Forge right now. He's starting up his own tour company.
Okay.
The Boogertown Bus. Yeah, the Boogertown Bus. Yeah, it's changed names a couple times because he's also
Just as a quick
companies,
aside, I'm still shocked that's actually the name of a place.
Right? Right?
The first time I heard about it, I thought it was just made up.
Well,
joke.
do you know what the booger is?
No.
It's a ghost.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That's crazy. It's Boogertown, which, by the way, there is a Boogertown Road, and that sign is stolen constantly.
I'm sure it is.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have their own newspaper. It's the Boogertown Bugle. Yep. And it's full, both sides. Both sides. It's there's
coupons?
Oh yeah. There's I think 2.
There's probably a horoscope or 2 in there.
I think it's the horse scope because I think that person misunderstood. But yeah, there's subsequent group I believe is also the Hillbillies in the Holler, and I'm part of them as well.
I didn't know that.
As an honorary member.
Okay. Yeah, they're good guys. We spent some time with them when we first moved here. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun.
We should actually get them on here. I think about it.
You should.
I haven't. Excuse me. I haven't talked to the Hillbillies in a while. I talked to Buford. I talked to Buford sometimes. But we get them all on here. I was wondering if that's who you were talking about.
Yeah. I'll get you guys in contact. I know you got his contact, but I'll make sure he's listening.
Yeah. I hope he knows about this podcast. So you said you've experienced some strange things, things that can't be explained. Besides,
not by me,
Bluetooth and how refrigerators work. Have you experienced anything like on the ghost stores that were a little spooky?
Okay, so at one of the places is the First Methodist Church, which was built in 1813, and from 1813 until 1946, when it was converted into a church, it was used as a plantation storehouse. And during the war, the Civil War, it was used to house war supplies.
Oh, wow.
As far as its historical significance, well, that's it. nothing.
That's pretty significant.
No drama,
though.
trauma, or death ever happened there.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are supposedly hauntings. Now,
Yeah.
I was telling the story of these hauntings, and after the tour, so we do our main tour, and then you can book an extended tour, which is about an extra 30 minutes, an extra 4 sites and stories. And one of the guests was booked for the extended tour, and afterwards he kind of hung back and just kind of stayed with me for a minute as everybody kind of left. And he told me that he has what some would refer to as the shine. And that's what I said. Not out loud, because I didn't want to upset him, but...
From The Shining?
Yes.
A story?
Yes. Which I guess... I mean, we do use stories as a means to explain things that we can't necessarily otherwise explain. But yeah, he had basically that, where he could see spirits, or that's what he believed.
Yeah.
And he told me that in the window above me, right there in the corner, the building was dark and empty. The parking lot was mostly empty, except for some people that had parked there to do some things on the strip, I guess, maybe workers or whatnot. And he said that in the window in the corner, that there was what looked to be a 9-year-old boy, blonde, kind of looking a bowl cut with a comb to the side, dimples, and a slight overbite, so his chin was kind of short, round.
Yeah.
He said he was looking out the window as I was telling the story, and he was looking right at me. But then, as you do, you can kind of feel when somebody's looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
And the boy kind of looked up and recognized that he was looking at him, and then the boy kind of and eased away.
Yeah.
At a close enough time to when he said he was experiencing that, his I assume girlfriend that was with him. Stop it. Meant to turn that off.
It was a very spooky sounding ringtone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a story about that in a second. She took a picture of the window that was perpendicular to the window that he said he saw that little boy in, and the picture that she showed me actually had what looked like a green orb coming out of the window. Now, I'm an optimistic skeptic, so I'm thinking maybe that was a reflection. Maybe that was some of the light that's on the strip. I'm still trying to debunk it, because that church is actually up on a hill. And the only light source that can hit from that angle would be the Skylift Bridge. But the light that they use for their flash is white. So I'm not sure how it got a green hue to it. And then a couple days later, when I was telling somebody this tale as well, they had taken a picture of a similar area, and there was a white orb slightly above the window. I don't know what that is. Is it a spirit? Perhaps. Is it a? I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Most likely a portal to the multiverse.
It could
which I learned about from the Marvel documentaries.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Those Marvel documentaries are absolutely on point.
Yeah. Did you know
yeah.
being blind gives you superpowers?
I'm going to take your word for it. I'm not going to try it. But what really kind of set this story apart was when he was describing that little boy at 9 years old. It sounded an awful lot like me when I was 9 years old. And he told me also that when he got up there, because I said one of the apparitions that appears there, I've been told that of the people who have experienced it, they don't feel necessarily spooked. They felt welcomed. Because the apparition isn't human. It's not a spirit from humans, so I'm told. It doesn't have intention, willpower, or consciousness. It doesn't come from humans, thus humans don't have a reason to be afraid of it. They felt oddly welcomed. Well, this guy said, I did not feel that. I felt more like when you walk into a house and all the windows had been covered. Yeah. You're like, am I the only one in here? That's what he felt when he approached. And when he told me this, and then he described that little boy being me at 9 years old, it kind of creeped me out a little bit. And then the addition of that green orb coming out of a window, I don't know what it is. I haven't been able to debunk it yet. That doesn't mean anything, because again, there's a lot of stuff I can't explain. But it is odd. It is odd.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Okay. You have any ghost stories?
No, I've not that I can think of, man.
You guys want to hear the closest I ever came to believing in ghosts?
Please.
I was I was staying at a friend's house, and this friend was telling me that if you hear any noises upstairs, don't be scared. It's just the ghosts. Which I've had a lot of people tell me over the years. Like, if you hear any noises, it's just a ghost. We have a ghost in the attic. And it always made me laugh because if you actually had a ghost in your attic, that would change everything we know about the known universe.
Right.
It'd be the biggest discovery in the world. And people just act like it's like a mouse. They're just like, yeah, nah, it's just it's just the dead guy in the attic, right? So I'm just kind of like politely listening. It's like, okay, right? So then I wake up the next day. I'm the only one in the house. They all had other things they had to do. And I hear talking downstairs. Low talking, slow talking, and it's kind of like conversing, right? And I'm like, oh my God, it's really haunted. This place is really haunted. So I get up, I start looking all over the place, trying to figure out what the sound is coming from. And eventually I made my way downstairs and realized that they left the TV on. It was golf. I was just like, man.
So close.
But it was
So close. That was the closest I ever came.
I was at the church, the First Methodist. I think it was like maybe a month into telling the stories.
Yeah.
I am telling the story, and I start hearing what sounds like really kind of creepy choir music behind me. And I'm like, y'all hear this too, right? I thought I was having a stroke. Like, it was really odd. It wasn't until I guess I was on my way down and somebody pointed out, they're like, oh, look, the Haunted Mansion's over there. I had already put together that it was the Haunted Mansion music, and thinking, when the atmosphere is just right and when the town is quiet enough that you have the bouncing effect of the music from the haunted house going up and over and then hitting the church. I had no idea that it was actually directly downhill. And so, with a little bit of cloud cover and with the humidity and
everything was right.
Everything was just perfectly right for that music. And also, probably, their speakers were a little bit louder than usual. But when I heard it down there, I was like, it's this. Whatever atmospheric thing has put together. Now, I like to figure out things and get them, explained. Because I also have a background in magic and in hypnotism. And it doesn't keep me from getting freaked out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are still times
your
when
head
I'm like,
run away with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But that's also because, sometimes we get pulled into these stories.
Yeah, absolutely,
it's
a good...
I find it interesting that of the people who come to the tours, of course, there's you pay for the ticket, and then afterwards there's a collection of the hat, tips and whatnot. I found it the most interesting that the people who get the most into it, the ghost adventurers per se, they're the ones who seem nonplussed, and they're the ones who tip the least. I'm like, that. Don't you love this stuff?
What? It's mundane for them. I think that's the thing with the when people think their house is haunted, and they're just kind of like,
But I think it's also that, I think to piggyback on the mundanity of it, is that they are not seeing what I've done to present this.
Right.
Because I could just present the facts. You can also just read the facts.
So there's definitely a craft to what you guys do.
Oh, yeah. It's a story.
It's no different than me spinning a pot and...
Precisely.
And going in
Precisely. Because if they wanted to, they could find clay themselves.
Yeah, sure.
But it's not the clay that you're purchasing. It's all the work that you've gone into. It's the glazing. It's the years of practice and trial to get this beautiful drip pattern on there, to get that crackle pattern that doesn't actually break, but looks like it is, the what is it, wabi-sabi? Yeah. The things which is broken is actually more beautiful. Yeah, it's the years of craftsmanship that goes into it. It's the decades that I spent in theatrical training and learning how to write, learning how to tell jokes, and learning how to make all of that and then put it all together.
Within 30 seconds, without you even telling me that you were thespian. I could tell right away. I said, this dude's got some Shakespeare background or something.
Thank you.
From within the minute you walked in here.
Thank you very much.
I can just tell.
I appreciate that. Yeah. The email often says, look for a man with a T-shirt and a lantern. Well, I carry the lantern. I actually love this thing because that looks really cool. And then it's also got the U.S. Ghost Adventures logo on it. Unfortunately, the T-shirt they sent me looks like a T-shirt. I'm pretty sure when I show up looking like this,
Yeah.
and I know this because I haven't even pulled out the lantern nor stood in the place that I told them that I was going to go, people are following me to the freaking bathroom because they're like, that's him, that's the
That's
dude,
the guy.
He's got to be the guy. Yeah, like I crafted this hat. I found out what old Undertaker hats look like. They put a scarf over top of a flat top hat, and so I crafted the look. I'm crafting the stories to build the anticipation. I am the medium, if you will.
Right.
Don't mind my shirt size saying extra large. I'm playing a medium. Yeah.
I identify as a medium.
Yeah, so you're well studied in your craft, and so storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I didn't realize that my daughter's about to start college. There's a degree in storytelling.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
ETSU has a program. I mean, I'm not laughing at anybody in storytelling. Please don't take it that way, not. But I was
it's
very
important.
shocked.
Yeah, it's not something that a lot of people think of because it's entertainment, and a lot of people kind of discount that.
And
don't
honestly, it's a big part of this area.
they? Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I got to know a lot of authentic mountain folks when I first moved here.
Yeah.
And those authentic mountain people, and even some of the ones they tell stories about today, Wiley Oakley.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
all these guys.
Popcorn Sutton.
Popcorn Sutton.
Yep.
They're great storytellers.
Yeah.
We worked with a guy named Tom Morton. I mean, he could just tell a story, man. I mean, it's just...
Oh, yeah.
There was a guy named Fred that had the original Napa Auto Parts store down there. He was another one.
Yeah. Well, I've listened to your all's podcast, and you regaling the history of this building itself, of what this used to be, and how it came into your care, and likely who it is that you're going to pass on to.
Well, I'm a tenant here, but we've interviewed the people that still have it today. And,
right. But it used to be a wood shop, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And that was a person.
This
that you
was
were
their
related to,
showroom.
right?
No, I'm not related to them.
Okay,
I'm just
gotcha.
a tenant. Yeah.
Okay. But you are
I
also
think he's
a
talking about John, right?
Yeah, he's talking about John.
Yeah.
You're talking about John. Yeah.
Yeah. So regaling those tales,
sure.
telling and sharing that history, that in itself is storytelling, and our history completely has been of storytelling. That's how we give information from one generation to the next generation. And I think, honestly, this is where, when you see older generations gripe and complain about the younger generations not knowing something, well, whose fault is that for not sharing the information to the next generation?
You know, but there's also some...
Whose fault is that, Mom?
So as a young person, too, we might have acted like we weren't listening.
Exactly.
But we really were.
But we were.
You know?
But we were.
You know, because I find myself telling stuff that maybe some of my grandparents told me, or you know, stuff like that. So I mean, I think it comes with age a lot of times.
Even the fables. So the little boy who cried wolf. I can't tell you how many times there has been a child on the tour. Let me touch on that one for a second. Children on the tour.
Children. What's the age limit?
There isn't one. If you want to book a tour for any kid under the age of 3, according to the website, you are more than welcome to do so. Personally, I don't think it's a good idea. Because these stories are not for children. They're not. Now, that's not to say children are not welcome. Last night, I had an 11-year-old who was very much into this. It's very specific to the child.
Yeah, I was just going to
level.
say, there you go. You got to make that decision.
Yeah. Well, my daughter's 4, and we just watched Human Centipede together. Which we tried when she was a little younger, but she just wasn't into it. So it's like, it really depends on the kid and the maturity level.
But it really does. But overall, I've noticed that a child, this is not their cup of gore.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the first story that I'm telling is about somebody being ripped in half. The last story that I tell is about a dinner that turned cannibal. These are not stories that I think are appropriate for whatever. But the stories aside, this is about an hour and 20-minute tour in which we are walking through Gatlinburg, including the hills. We didn't take the hills out for the tour. So we're walking through Gatlinburg, and by the time we get to that last story, usually children are, they've lost engagement, and they are no longer listening to the story.
I would think that would have been the hardest thing right there. I was going to hit was the engagement.
Yes, absolutely. And I do the best that I can to engage everybody and do my best to make sure that I'm engaging with every single eye that is on the tour. With that being said, though...
The kids lose engagement because it's mundane, because, I mean, we've all seen the Dora the Explorer episodes about cannibalism, so it's just, it's a very old hat at that
point. You never know where he's going, dude.
Yeah, we did it. We did it.
The Dora the Explorer episode with the cannibalism is my favorite.
It's good. It's good, yeah.
But no, they lose engagement, and then they become a distraction to the other people.
Yeah.
And for personal reasons, honestly, I don't care if you're distracting the other guests.
Yeah.
You're distracting me. I'm the one who's telling the story.
Yeah.
And so now I'm losing details in the order of which I want to, tell the tale. And it's a problem. But it's I do my best to
you learn improv a little bit.
Of course. Oh.
I think all of us, because I mean we're all craftsmen, but we're also in the entertainment business. Even myself.
Yeah.
I'm making pottery in there, but I'm entertaining.
Well, I assume you also have these wheels because you do classes here, right?
Yeah, we do classes, but I'm also entertaining.
Yeah, and you're entertaining those
I got to keep them engaged.
Absolutely.
I have to keep them engaged.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this will do for a little bit, but after a little bit, but there's always improvisation. Yeah, you go in with a plan, everything, but every group is different. Every person's different.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you deal with that sometimes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, some of the best lines in my show come from improvisation. Yeah. And then I got to figure out how to shoehorn it.
Yes. Yep.
Every once in a while, I'll see you just kind of scratch your head.
God, there was one the other day.
No, I'm like, okay, he's thinking about how to deal with this.
I'm thinking, it's like, should I say that? Yeah.
You know if he's thinking, should he say it?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Well, the podcast, I have the benefit of editing. Yeah. Most of the time when we edit this podcast, I'm taking out something I said that was off the wall. Or a joke I made that got zero reaction from our guests.
I want a compilation reel. That's what I want. I want a compilation reel.
Give us a little longer.
Off the wall with no context. And
no, you're right. I should make a compilation of me making a bad joke and the guests staring at me because they didn't realize it was a joke.
Then we should do it as a podcast episode, like Mystery Science Theater.
Yes.
Yeah, the three of us sitting here talking about it. Oh yeah, look at Erik on that one.
Going back to the storytelling aspect to it, so me personally, I'm not interested in ghosts per se, right? But I am interested in storytelling. There's a podcast I listen to where he does, there's actually a few of them where there's one guy in particular where he talks about scary stories. And the stories, I'm not really interested in ghost stories, but I'm interested in him and how he tells the stories. And I'm interested in that. And then there's another guy, he talks about the old mythology, Norse, Greek mythology, things like that, which isn't an interest of mine either, but it is when he does it because of the way he tells the stories.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like a hook to really go into this thing, specifically when you're doing it, because while a ghost tour is not something I would be interested in typically, and there's probably people listening to feel the same way, but you have the storytelling aspect to it suddenly makes it very intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm taking the outsider's approach to this, because
that helps too.
I feel it really does. Because there's so many. First of all, they sent me a lot of stories.
Yeah.
They sent me a lot of compilation of facts. And so I went through each of those stories, and some of them, I personally, and all of the guides, we've been told, make it personal, make it yours. Make the liberty. You have the liberty to make it as engaging or as different as you want your experience to be made. Yeah. So, honestly, you could take the tour multiple times with different guides and get a different experiences.
Yes. Oh, interesting.
So, when they sent me the stories of this area, I went through, and there's several that I threw right out because I didn't feel like they had the appropriate amount of evidence that would deem worthy anybody's attention. For example, there was one that I threw out because I did some research on it, and I found, other than the Ghost Adventures website talking about it, there's only 3 other sources.
Yeah.
And they were all podcasts of people who like ghost stories, and they're all asking, where the heck did this come from? we don't know of anybody that's experienced this phenomenon. We can't find anybody who can back it up, and nobody else has any history of this particular event happening anywhere near there. So, so where did it come from? Well, that's 3 sources talking about it, but that's not 3 sources giving me background on it.
So you do a little bit of fact checking.
Oh, absolutely. Because the last thing I want is some teenager to Google whatever it is that I'm talking about and go, "Well, that's BS." Like,
next thing you know,
which happens. Happens.
Sure.
One of my favorite stories is titled "Kraft the Carnivore," and oh my goodness,
Kraft the Carnivore.
Kraft the Carnivore.
That's the cannibal story?
That is the cannibal story. It's a brief overview because I don't want to ruin it.
Is this Kraft with a C or a K? I'm wondering.
C.
Okay, so it's not related to the cheese. Okay.
No relation to the
I don't want to kill our sponsor with Kraft cheese.
Exactly, yeah. It's Kraft. His name is Simon J. Kraft. And he, at one time, was a colonel of one of the, if you were to take one of the chairlifts to the top of wherever it goes, near the crest of a lot of these mountains, there were actual, during Civil War, there were Confederate forts. Mm-hmm. At the top of the chairlift, where there used to be one, that was the fort where Colonel Simon J. Kraft was in charge. Now, a lot of people didn't like Kraft. Some people didn't like him because they didn't feel that he earned the rank of colonel, and perhaps he didn't. Maybe he was just at the right spot at the right time. And maybe somebody owed him a favor. But other people didn't like him because they thought he was odd. He was a peculiarly avid meat eater. He did not like vegetables, and he would mock anyone who ate them. But when he was given the rank of colonel, he made absolutely certain that none of his men ate bread or fruit, only meat. After a battle, some of his men actually found him licking the blood off the face of a fallen Union soldier. Now, this was reported to his higher-ups, and his higher-ups reprimanded him for behavior unbecoming of an officer. This also earned him that much-detested moniker, Kraft the Carnivore. Now, other things happened that kind of backed this up. Mm-hmm. I don't remember where I was going with this, but but this is one of those stories in which it has nothing to do with something that is haunted still. Mm-hmm. You're not finding the ghosts of people. Right. What we are finding is something that is haunting. This is a story of something that's kind of messed up that happened out here. You see, the plot of land that he was given after the war as payment for services rendered. Although he was on the Confederate side, some soldiers of rank, even on the Confederate side, were given plots of land as part of their payment for services rendered, as long as they pledged their allegiance to the United States government. Now, Kraft was given 160 acres of land. 160 acres of land, and the equipment necessary to run a lumber mill. Mm-hmm. Well, after about a decade, he was able to build, or have built for him, what would later become the infamous Kraft Manor. And that plot of land is an isolated plot of land that it's actually between Pigeon Forge and the Cherokee territories. So it's Gatlinburg adjacent. But it's still a thing that happened out here. And so that's one of the stories that I like to tell. That, again, it's not necessarily a ghost story.
Yeah.
But if you walk away not feeling just a little creeped out from that, especially knowing what happened after the fact and what was found after the fact.
Yeah, that's a hook. That's a hook.
The hook.
A hook.
You're a master, man.
Go to usghostadventures.com. Gatlinburg.
That's great.
As for Mr. Adams. Oh, I'm just thinking about those soldiers.
So fact-checking, man. Fact-checking. So that's a big part of it.
Oh, and I found a lot more information than what I could share on the tour.
Sure.
Now, on the website it says that the tour is about an hour. But I found that the people who wrote that didn't walk the tour and tell the stories at the same time. Right. So it's really depending on the group, especially like when you have a small group, yeah, it can be done in about an hour 10 minutes. However, when you have a larger group of about like 30, 35 people, usually that means that there's a lot of people in downtown Gatlinburg. And so it's going to take us a minute to kind of work our way through the traffic, the foot traffic that's downtown. And also, with a larger group, you have people that kind of straggle behind. And not everybody is a mountain climber, myself included. Don't let my chisel physique fool you. I had to train to be able to... I got one of these like little rebreather things where you put it in your mouth and you can actually have a resistance on inhaling. Because I got to the top of the first mountain. And I think the first month that I was telling stories, I'm up to the first mountain and I go, for centuries, the indigenous people inhabited these lands. And so I actually had to, and wearing a corset doesn't help, okay? It does cause me to slow down, and it does help my posture while I'm, telling the tales. But with breathing, no. And so I've had to practice actually breathing and walking up to the top of those mountains.
Yeah.
And then being able to vocalize and tell the stories. Because, hearing your tour guide be winded, that's not sexy. That's not good at all.
So how many days a week or how many nights a week are you guys doing this tour?
This is an interesting thing because, if you're looking to be a tour guide, this is one of the great things is that we give our availability of what it is that we can do. So if I've got some gigs out of town, or if I've got, I need to be out of town for something, or I've got other things happening, I tell them my availability, and then they come back and say, all right, so here's what we've got for you. These are the days that we're expecting to give to you, and then we've divvied up the rest among other people. So sometimes on the slower seasons, I was doing maybe 5 tours a month. But we have so many tour guides that, we're trying to get everybody a tour or two. But right now, it looks like I'm doing, because things are ramping up, I've been doing like 3 or 4 a week.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's
pretty popular.
It is getting more popular, especially this time of year.
Guides.
Oh yeah. And we're always looking for new guides. So if you're looking for, to be a tour guide and you like storytelling, go to usghostadventures.com.
Now,
usghostadventures.com.
As we know, Sevier County, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Severe Falls, huge here.
Oh, yeah.
So what about for you guys? You do something different?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. As far as I know, because I'm still new to the company. I haven't done a Halloween here yet. Last Halloween, I was actually doing a gig in a different area. I was working at a theme park. But as far as I've been told, they said, prepare yourself for October. Prepare yourself for September, because people, especially the leaf lookers, as we call them, they come out here and, you're looking at leaves, but then what?
Yeah. Crisp. You got the perfect scenario.
Interesting.
Dark, crisp, cool night.
Oh, yeah.
Leaves change colors, falling down.
Now, that's the season of everything dying. So
it's perfect.
Perfect ambiance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Death and destruction.
Isn't it pretty?
Isn't it pretty? That's honestly... I think it is. Because as Franz Kafka said, the thing that gives things meaning is the fact that it stops. What gives life meaning is that it stops. Because if it just went on forever, then all this would be mundane. Much like, the life of a fly.
Mm-hmm.
Flies, to me, not that interesting. I'm sure to an etymologist, probably. Etymologist?
I think flies are really cool.
The contrarian.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. Yeah, I got a kick out of
Well, you know what I
flies.
mean. Like if we lived forever, then things can the exciting can become mundane. So the fact that we don't, and the fact that we should take time and go out and spend time and make experiences with the people that we actually care about.
Yeah.
And talk about it. I think that's what gives it beauty.
That's why I like to really hang out with a lot of flies, because they're only alive for a few days.
Oh, yeah.
So I bring them bread.
I bet they believe that you are the wisest one that's ever lived.
Yeah. Well, for them, I'm an immortal, basically.
Of course.
He's the Lord of the flies.
Yeah.
In real life.
I like to fit in, so I spit on my food before I eat it.
Oh, tell me the first time you met your wife.
Yeah.
That weird thing that people do.
I actually know a guy I knew a guy that used to do that. He used to do this all the time and talk about his sexual conquests. It was very... He was
All right.
very strange.
You know, he would have blended right in with those flies, wouldn't he?
He would have blended in with the flies, and I'm wondering if there's a ghost story in there somewhere.
There's got to be. Because the ghosts of the flies in this area, I'll tell you what.
That's funny.
There's been my ringtone going off. There was actually a time that my ringtone went off. It was an alarm for me to remind myself to set other alarms because I have severe ADHD. Severe.
No
severe.
way.
You know the severe. It's the adjective that people use for dangerous storms. Yes, severe ADHD is what they've said I have. So I use alarms to remind myself to set other alarms to remind myself to do other things. Well, I have that going off at 10:10 every night. It's 10:10. Now I'm going to know who's listened to this podcast because they're going to go, oh, here it comes. So I actually changed the ringtone to be a movement from the Fowler Requiem. And so it starts with just trumpets coming in very like, bum, bum. And I'm telling this story, and one night it goes off as I'm telling the final story of and the thespian inside of me was going, I love this. Oh, it's so beautiful. So I've kept it there, and I've kind of been looking at my watch, and now I've made it to where there's enough of a pause that it will vibrate 6 times in my pocket to let me know, hey, it's coming up. And so I can get to a point in the story where being underlined by that, so to say that I'm having fun, absolutely.
Man, this sounds cool.
Doing this, they say the key to youthfulness is keeping the heart of a child. Right?
Yeah.
Where's the zipper? Right around the front there.
I think.
You don't even keep it cold.
Well, they don't ask for these back. After you use them, they don't ask for them back at all. On the tour, we also have this. This is pretty cool. We've got one of these little U.S. Ghost. They got this version of it. It's an EMF detector. That's electromagnetic fields detector.
Mm-hmm.
Your cell phone is not going to affect it. Now, some it will. Ours, we didn't put that much money into them, okay? Because sometimes they get lost and broken, and we got to pay bills.
For those listening, by the way, he pulled out a human organ bag, and he's holding up this detector. What's that detector for?
This is an EMF detector. That's an electromagnetic field detector.
Mm-hmm.
According to a lot of the paranormalists and ghost hunters that I've talked to, they've said that if you have a change in your electromagnetic field around you, that can indicate spiritual or ghost activity around you.
Mm-hmm.
Is this true? I don't know. Have no idea. What I do know is that every time that I've gone up to the cemetery, the White Oak Flat Cemetery, that's the second thing that is consistent as far as the strange things that I've encountered, is that the White Oak Flats sign, usually the post on the left, gets up to either the orange or the red on the indicator mark.
Yeah.
Now, this indicates fields of electricity or magnetism changing. Your phone shouldn't affect it. Power lines absolutely will.
Yeah.
Halogen lights absolutely will.
I kind of buy it. That could be changed. Not saying I agree with you. Not saying that it is something there in the cemetery changing it.
Yeah.
But one of the old mountain fellas that I was telling you about, Tom, we went hiking up in Greenbrier, up to one of the old cemeteries up there.
Yeah.
And he had dowsing rods. You know what dowsing rods are?
Yes.
They hold on to them and they'll cross like that.
Supposedly, yes.
I'm familiar with dowsing rods.
I'm not a believer in dowsing rods, but continue with your story.
I am. Absolutely, man.
Really? What did he find?
He could go right across the grave, dude. It'd go like that, and we could find the old fence lines.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
I think it's the way the dowsing rods are used for me.
Yeah.
Because it may be able to work, but at least the ghost tours that I've been on in various other places, they had us go through a cemetery, and they said that the spirits will guide you. They'll point them in the direction that you want to go. Well, you're holding these things at 90-degree angles, right? So you should hold them straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going through a cemetery that has so many dips and divots, so you step and all of a sudden it goes to the right, and you're like, oh, is the ghost telling me to go this way? No, stupid, you just stepped in a pothole.
No, we didn't use it for finding ghosts, but we were finding fence lines and things like that.
Something similar happened with the water guys. And like, oh, look at that, now it's freaking out. And now it's back to zero.
Huh.
Interesting. But anyway, the It
it's
could
the
very well be the microphone.
Is there a
Look at that.
microphone in the Wiley Oak sign?
I have not heard that there is. But anyway, so he's the water guy is looking. There's a leak somewhere between the meter and my house, and he was telling me he took the flags and bent the flags, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we can find the water out here." And then all of a sudden they went like this, and he goes, "Well, there's your water." I said, "No, wait a minute. You are in a puddle right now, up to your ankles." And you're trying to convince me that it's these dowsing rods that went like this. You're sure you didn't just step in the puddle and go, huh, and they go out to the sides?
Yeah.
Like, so in some respects, I could see where potentially this could work. I think there's too many people out there that aren't using them correctly.
Right.
So I'm not debunking it 100% immediately. I am saying that some people I am debunking immediately because they just not use it right. But the sign, like they don't. If I'm being completely honest, they don't pay me enough to try to rig these things in such a way where I hit a little button and it freaks out.
Right.
I'm not paid enough for that. These things, however, at the White Oak Flats sign, do go up to the orange or the yellow.
There's something in that.
It's somewhere.
sign.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is, but it's been consistent. And sometimes the post on the right does it, but not all the
It
time.
could be a piece of metal down underneath there. Or
Now-
there could be something there. It's
Now, the other thing that's odd, because again, it's detecting electricity. There's no electricity above or below on that side of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And also, anytime that people bring their dogs on tour, I kind of like to stand a little closer to the sign as I'm telling the tale. But every time that there's been a dog on the tour, that dog has whimpered the entire time that I'm telling the tale at the White Oak Flat Cemetery. And I have no explanation for it. I have no explanation for this. Doesn't mean it can't be
There
explained
could
by
be
somebody who understands more.
There could be a big chunk of iron ore or something down there.
And it's odd. And another tour guide, a friend of mine, Isis, she does a tour, and she has noticed that in the middle of the cemetery, where there's kind of an open plot near where the I think it's the difference between the old stones and the new stones, that there they also hit a huge EMF spike, not consistently, but consistent enough to be to mark it as something on the radar. So I don't know, but this is something that you can rent when you go on the tours. So if you want to have your own experience as well, be sure to go through the U.S. Ghost Adventures website, and you can add the add-ons of the extended tour, which is 4 additional stories and 4 additional locations. And you can also rent one of our EMF detectors. And we also have, I think these are really cute, little ghost plushies. You can rent these too, and no, I'm kidding. You can take these home. You buy these, and they take them home. And I think it's a nice little memento, because if you're going to take any ghost home, I think this is the one you'd prefer to take home as opposed to any bad omens that might bring you poor luck.
That is adorable and unexpected.
Right?
Can you rent bottles of water too?
You can purchase bottles of water at the Space Needle, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Well, cool, man. This was a great episode.
Yes, it was.
Mr. Adams, thanks for showing up.
Well, thank you so much for
you got
having
any
me.
final questions?
Yeah,
or-
real quick, you can go ahead and tell everybody the website to book.
So if you go to U.S. Ghost Adventures and you look specifically for Gatlinburg, then you'll be able to book the Gatlinburg Ghost Tour. You've got the main Ghost Tour, which the website, again, will tell you about an hour. It's honestly about an hour 20 to an hour and 40 minutes for the main tour. And then it is an additional 30 minutes for the extended tour. You can also rent an EMF detector, and you can buy a ghost plushie. Be sure to go to usghostadventures.com and look for the Gatlinburg Ghost Tours. And if you're looking for reviews and whatnot, because you should do your homework, of course, go to TripAdvisor or Google.
Yeah.
It's Gatlinburg
For the love of God,
Haunts.
don't look on Chatbot.
Oh, yeah, please don't look on Chatbot. But it's Gatlinburg Haunts, Gatlinburg Ghost Tours, and Haunted Pub Crawls.
Okay. And are you guys on social media?
Yes, on all social media platforms, whichever your favorite might be, you go to U.S. Ghost Adventures. That's U.S. at U.S. Ghost Adventures. And I tell everybody that goes on the tour that audio and video recording of the stories is strictly prohibited. But please, we encourage you to take as many photos as you can. And if you capture anything, like my devilish charm, we want you to share those on our social media on any platform that's at U.S. Ghost Adventures.
My camera's overreacting, I think, to your devilish charm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's starting to shake and,
the glasses,
and stutter. Yeah, it's like I didn't know cameras could blush, but here we are.
The corset does a lot.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, that adds a couple of points. That makes a 3, a 5. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Sometimes a 6. I should get a corset now that I think about it.
You know,
I get a solid 3.
you might be able to bump it up to 3.5.
No, let's not go crazy. Let's not go crazy.
Hey, that's right. I actually heard somebody recently talk about support. As far as like people who work in like the welding industry or something like that, they wear those back braces.
Yeah.
Well, this female person was actually a worker on. She does welding and whatnot, but the back braces were not built for a person of her miniature frame.
Yeah.
And she was talking with somebody, and I think it was actually a chiropractor and a doctor who works with those types of things, and said, actually, if you get the right size corset, you should actually be able to get the appropriate support that you need. Don't cinch it too tight, because that's how you get, torsion in the wrong way. But it could actually help you with your posture. It can help you with your breathing. It can help you with your back support. So
that's probably
getting
where
an
they
actual
got it
corset
from.
Might be a good idea.
That's like high heels come from butchers. Did you know that?
What?
Is it a butcher's?
I thought it was cavalry.
No, I heard it was the butchers because they had to walk around in blood all day, so they'd wear high-heeled boots.
I could see that also being a thing. I do know that it was a masculine thing. It started off as being a masculine thing because it added height, and it also made your legs look really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which... You know what? I'm not going to say that.
Which it still does.
I was going to say something that might offend a large chunk of our audience. But yeah, sure. Yeah.
What was that other podcast we listened to? You don't want to know what I'm thinking.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on here. Really
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
This has been a great time.
Yeah.
I appreciate you all being here. And my goodness, the pottery, I've been looking at this
he makes some spooky pottery.
I love those mugs.
Yeah.
You guys should come out here to this Clayworks factory. This thing is awesome.
Yeah, Fowler's Clayworks. What's the address here?
Fowler's Clayworks.
1402 East Parkway, Suite 12.
Yeah, and I guess while we're at it, Impossibilities, 1548 Sevierville.
Absolutely, yeah.
I just completely
I
butchered
need
my
to
own
come
address.
out and get to see your show. Again, I haven't seen it at the new place.
1548 Parkway, Suite 306 in Sevierville, Tennessee.
It's at 1548 Parkway. Suite what?
306.
306, and that's the Impossibilities Magic Show?
That's important. If you make sure you get the suite in there and you put that in the GPS, you'll drive right into our building, which is a mess.
Well, apparently, because you're telling people to drive right into the building.
Yes. You do got to check the new place out.
Yeah. That's a nice
theater, man.
Yeah,
we're having a good time.
Did a great job.
Your updates, and it looks good.
We built it all ourselves. It was a nightmare. Feel my hands. Feel how rough my hands are? They're not supposed to be like that.
So rough.
Yeah. Have you ever held a hammer? They're heavy.
Yes,
you're not cracking up.
They are.
Right?
People do that for a living.
They're slightly softer than a baby's butt, but I think it's that slightly part that has changed.
Yeah, they're pretty coarse now.
They are
things
hands
considered.
that have held many books.
Yes.
Which, by the way, is a good thing.
Yeah,
it's a very good thing.
I have to wear gloves when I read books, because otherwise I get myself paper cuts,
I mean, you're not kidding, though, as far as, like, actually changing how our hands feel, because, again, I also have a background in magic, and I have to wear gloves all the time because I also move heavy equipment for staging and stuff like that. We make video walls and staging and trussing and lighting. And I wear gloves, and some people make fun of me for that. I'm like, are you kidding me? My partner loves how my hands feel, so I'm not going to change that, okay?
Okay, Curly.
Come on.
I don't know why somebody would make fun of somebody for protecting themselves, but it happens,
Or making fun of somebody for wearing a seatbelt, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember I worked at...
Bless your heart.
I did security for Corning Glass up in New York for a while, and they told me to wear a mask because there was glass particles in the air. You're breathing in actual physical glass, and it just stunk because of the chemicals and stuff. And there was people, there were the workers, they would like make fun of me for wearing this mask. I'm thinking, like, dog. Like in 20 years, this is going to be bad news.
I may have a death wish, but this ain't it.
No, you were smart.
I don't want to be.
No, you were smart, man.
Yeah,
In a big industry like that.
Oh yeah,
all that high tech ventilation they got going on. Still, like if
it's still
we're working in here, if we clean, like I damp mop, there's no broom. We don't sweep because that that's fine silica in there. Yeah.
Well, it also
I didn't even think about
the
that.
heck out of all your other stuff.
You were smart, man.
No.
I remember there was, I guess it was a quarry or whatever they call it, but there was a little plot of land I had to walk through too. That was just mounds and mounds and mounds of broken glass.
Yeah, sure.
And I remember thinking this would be a great place to shoot a kung fu movie.
Oh my goodness, dude!
Cool.
Or have a disco with the right lighting.
Yeah, well, I was there at night, so but yeah, during the day it probably had a different look to it.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Planes hate to fly over that place. I gotta see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you
so
for
much,
coming
man.
on. Really
Great show.
appreciate it.
We'll get back. We should go on a tour.
I should want to.
Yeah.
now,
Yeah, we should go on a tour,
We should
man. I
definitely
know
go
we
on a
can't
tour.
video, but man, we could catch
My
some
daughter's
shots.
4, so I'll bring her.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Bring the 4-year-old distracted.
Yeah.
Well,
But
thank you so much for
thank
having
you
me.
so much.
I'll see you guys
Appreciate
again
it.
soon.
For sure.
All right.